Hello, my dear friends. This is Rajesh Mahapatra. I hope all of you are doing well and happiness. In this session, I'll be telling you about the concept of in what real-time scenario cases can you select a cloud Linux server, and in what real-time scenario cases can you select a cloud Windows server based on your project requirement or your customer requirement. Do you know, guys, as a cloud engineer, you should provide the best solution with minimum cost to the customer. Apart from this, I'll explain more details about Linux server and Windows server in the Google Cloud platform so that you can easily understand it based on your project requirement or your customer requirement. You can suggest it. Let's get started. As you can see here, in what real-time scenario can you select a Linux server based on your project requirement? Guys, your client has a requirement for you and they want to host their application on Google Cloud platform. They require your advice on which operating system to deploy their application and the cost optimization. How could you suggest your customer for this scenario? As a cloud engineer, you should provide the best solution with the minimum cost to the customer. You know, there are several real-time scenarios where selecting a new or Linux server on Google Cloud platform would be advantageous for you to provide the best solution to the customer. As you can see here, for an example, there are web server and hosting, container and microservices, development environment, and big data and analytics. Let's discuss one by one so that you can understand the scenario and suggest to your customer that they deploy their application on a Linux server. First of all, we'll discuss about the web server and hosting. Linux is a wide used for hosting web server such as Apache Nginx due to its stability, security and performances. If you are running a web application or hosting a website, Linux VMs offer a reliable and cost-effective platform. Then the container and microservices. As you can see here, the Linux-based operating systems such as Ubuntu, CentOS are popular choice for the containerization platform like Docker and orchestration tool like Kubernetes. Linux provides a lightweight and efficient environment for deploying and managing microservices architecture. In the development environment, the Linux is often preferred by developers due to its flexibility, vast software package ecosystem, and command line capabilities. It is common choice for creating development environment and especially for open source project. And guys, the big data and analytics. Linux is frequently used in big data and analytics scenario. Many popular big data frameworks such as Apache Hadoop, Apache Spark are natively supported on Linux distribution. Linux provides the scalability and performance needed to handle large-scale data processing and analysis tasks. In this scenario, you can suggest to your customer that they deploy their application on a Linux server. These are the just few examples, and the suitability of Linux VMs depends on the specific requirements and the preference of your use cases. Linux flexibility, robustness and extensive community supports makes it popular choice for a wide range of application in Google Cloud platform. Guys, same scenario here. In what real-time scenario can you select a Windows Server VM in Google Cloud platform? Guys, as a cloud engineer, you should provide the best solution with the minimum cost to the customer. There are several real-time scenarios where selecting a Windows VM on Google Cloud platform would be advantageous for you to provide the best solution to the customer. As you can see here, for example, there are the Windows specific applications like desktop application, remote desktop services, Active Directory integration, and window development and testing. Let's discuss them one by one so that you can understand the scenario and suggest to your customer what to use for a Windows server. Windows specific applications, if your application or workload relies on Windows specific software or frameworks such as Microsoft SQL Server, SharePoint, Exchange, and .NET applications, choosing a Windows server is essential. Or select a Windows VM in Google Cloud Platform. Windows VMs provide native support and optimal compatibility for running Windows-based applications. Similarly, guys, desktop application. If you need to run the desktop applications that are designed specifically for the Windows operating system such as Microsoft Office Suite, Adobe Creative Cloud, or other Windows-based software, selecting a Windows VMs provides the necessary environment and compatibility. Similarly, remote desktop services. Windows VMs offer the remote desktop services RDS, the functionality, allowing the multiple users to connect remotely and access a shared Windows desktop environment simultaneously. This is the advantage of Windows Server. This is beneficial for scenario where you need to provide remote access to a Windows-based application or desktop. As you know, the Active Directory integration, Windows VMs seamlessly integrate with Microsoft Active Directory, making them an ideal choice for organization that rely on Active Directory for user authentication, access control, and centralized management of resources. Windows development and testing. If your development team primarily use the Windows-based development tools such as Visual Studio, .NET Framework, selecting a Windows VM can provide a familiar and optimized environment for development, debugging, and testing purposes. There are just few examples, and the suitability of Windows Server depends on the specific requirement and dependency of your use cases. If your application or workload relies on Windows specific software or frameworks, if you need a Windows-like desktop environment, choosing a Windows Server or VM in Google Cloud Platform is the appropriate choice. Now, I hope so guys you can understand in which scenario cases you can choose or select your Linux server and the Windows server. Now, as you can see here, what is the difference between Linux VM and Windows VM in Google Cloud Platform? In Google Cloud Platform, there are the difference between the Linux and Windows virtual machines in terms of operating system they use and the associated capabilities. As you can see here, some key difference. In Google Cloud Platform, there are difference between Linux and Windows virtual machines in terms of operating system they use and the associated capabilities. As you can see here, some of the key difference between Linux VM and Windows VMs in Google Cloud Platform. Linux VMs runs on the Linux distribution like Ubuntu, CentOS, Debian, and others. Windows VMs on other hand run on Microsoft Windows Server or Windows Desktop Edition. In cost, as you can see here, generally Linux VMs tend to have a lower licensing cost compared to the Windows VM because Linux is an open source operating system. Windows VMs require a license fee which can contribute to higher cost. Generally, Linux VMs tend to have a lower licensing cost compared to the Windows VMs because Linux is an open source operating system. Windows VMs require a license fee which can contribute to higher cost. Certain applications and software are specifically designed to work with a particular operating system. Therefore, you need to consider the compatibility of your required software with the chosen VM like Linux or Windows. Linux is primarily command line driven and most Linux VMs are managed through SSH secure shell connection. Windows VMs on other hand provide a graphical user interface GUI can be accessed using remote desktop protocol RDP to provide more familiar Windows desktop experience. As you can see here, some of the benefits of Linux VM as well as Windows VM in Google Cloud Platform. Linux is an open source operating system providing users with a wide range of options for customization and configuration. You have the freedom to choose from various Linux distributions, each with its own set of features and optimization. And Linux is typically more cost effective than Windows due to the absence of licensing fees. This can be especially advantageous when running multiple VM instances or deploying large-scale applications. Robust performance and scalability in Linux VM. As you know, its robust performance and stability to efficiently utilize the system resources. As you know, the Linux has a strong community and package ecosystem. It supports the documentation, troubleshooting resources, and it also has a vast software packages ecosystem including popular web servers like for an example Apache, Nginx, database like MySQL and development tools. On other hand, as you can see here in the Windows VM in Google Cloud Platform are Windows VM are essential when you need to run applications that are specifically designed for the Windows operating system. This includes the Microsoft suites of software such as SQL Server, SharePoint, Exchange, .NET application and more. It is familiar user interface. Windows VMs provide a graphical user interface GUI similar to the Windows desktop environment, which can be more intuitive for users who are working with Windows. Windows VM seamlessly integrate with Microsoft Active Directory, making it easier to manage user account, access control and permission with your organization. That is the biggest advantage, guys. And GCP provides support for Windows VM and Microsoft also offer the additional support option for Windows Server and other Microsoft products. This can be beneficial when you require a specialized assistance or troubleshooting related to the Windows specific technology. Now guys, I hope so you can understand in which scenario cases you can choose a Linux server and a Windows server and what is the basic difference between Linux VM and Windows VM in Google Cloud Platform. Thank you. Have a nice day.